I thought I was hired to write press releases, not rehearse fake smiles in the back of a town car, not to wear someone else's scent and secrets. Denzel's signature was on my contract, but the job description hid between his ribs. I should have asked what the salary couldn't buy. I was late by 3 minutes to a life I hadn't known I'd applied for. The glass elevator climbed Kincaid Ventures like a held breath, city unwinding below in ribbons of steel. My reflection hovered, tie too tight, cuffs borrowed, confidence stitched in a hurry, and praying the seams held today. The reception floor smelled like polished stone and winter. An orchid presided over a marble slab like a judge. I palms-wetted my resume while the assistant with the perfect bun said, "Mr. Kincaid will see you." And disbelief cracked quietly inside me like thin ice pretending it's a mirror anyway. I expected HR and a windowless room with a carpet designed to forgive. Instead, the corner office was a horizon of glass, rain spitting static against it. At its center stood Denzel Kincaid. Photographs had undersold him. When he turned, the storm outside seemed choreographed to arrive with his attention. "You're Will Avery," he said. His voice landed low, measured, the kind you either trust or fear. "You're not late. You're right on time." I apologized anyway. The subway had stalled. He smiled, a brief shift in weather. "The city tests appetite. Sit." I sat. It felt like choosing something irrevocable. No HR, no chaperones, just a CEO and a man whose rent was a countdown. He didn't touch my resume. Instead, he slid a small black notebook across the table. "Tell me what you notice. 30 seconds. The first page was blank. The elastic snapped. A faint coffee ring haunted. "You write with pressure when tired," I said. "You avoid interruptions by leaving the first page disposable. You take meetings with coffee, not tea. You stopped carrying this 2 weeks ago." His eyes warmed. "A degree." "Why?" "The ink oil's dull. The dents align with an apology you didn't send." He looked at me like he'd found a door where he'd sworn there was wall. "Useful," he said. "And true." I swallowed pride and hope together. "For the PR assistant position?" "No," Denzel said, soft as an ember. "That position doesn't exist." Silence settled, fine as dust on glass everywhere. "Then why am I here?" "Because I need someone who looks past the page, someone who reads a room before cameras arrive, improvises truth in a world of drafts." He let the weight hang before adding, almost gently, "I need you to be my boyfriend." Air left my chest ungallantly. "You're—" "Publicly," he said, convincingly, temporarily. I laughed like a stranger had borrowed my mouth. "I thought you needed someone to fix your verbs." "I need someone to fix my story," he said. "There are leaks, there are threats, a board agenda that isn't mine. I keep everything guarded. Deliberately. And you picked me." "I noticed you," he said, simple as a fact. "At a cafe last month, you diffused a man arguing with his reflection. You made it look easy. I prefer easy that's earned." I said, "I don't rant my heart," and surprised myself by meaning it tonight. "I'm not asking for your heart," Denzel said. "I'm asking for your time. Your mouth for quick answers. Your eyes on people I can't watch alone. I'm asking for a story that keeps us both alive." Alive snagged. Behind him, rain muscled the glass. A pale seam scarred his wrist. "How dangerous?" I asked. He slid a keycard toward me, the plastic whisper loud in a room that had learned to listen. "Less if you say yes." I held the card, felt its small, absolute weight, and understood. I hadn't been hired to type. I'd been hired to matter tonight. I left with a keycard and a lie rehearsed on my tongue. By midnight, a tailor pinned me into someone else's future, Denzel's breath steady at my shoulder. Cameras waited downstairs. My phone buzzed from an unknown number. Don't hold his hand. If you do, he won't let go. Tonight. Denzel walked me from the office without looking back, as if pausing might give the night a chance to reconsider. The elevator hummed our silence into something shareable. He stood close enough to register. His cologne, cedar, rain, something private, and far enough that I knew he could draw the distance like a weapon. In the car, he handed me a folder thick with bullet points. "We met at a gallery," he said. "You teased me about owning a Warhol. I asked about your shabby notebook. You told me lines matter more than frames." His glance flicked up. "You're improvising truth, not inventing." "What are the rules?" I asked. He considered, as though rules required tenderness to work. "Public, we hold hands. Private, we ask before we touch. 2 squeezes means stop. 1 squeeze means I see you. If I say green light, you say whatever gets us out alive." He watched me absorb each door. "Why me?" I said, because curiosity had always been my survival. He turned his left wrist, not quite offering it, not quite hiding it. The pale scar caught the car's passing lights like a moth. Because the last time I trusted someone to care, he tried to use my grief. We surfaced beneath his building, the city's throat clearing around us. The lobby was understated wealth, wool and whisper. Upstairs, the penthouse opened like a held breath finally allowed. A tailor and a woman with storm-blue eyes waited. "Will," Denzel said. "This is Sloan, my chief of staff. Discretion, incarnate." Sloan took me in like a puzzle she'd already solved. "We're debuting you tonight at the Foundation dinner," she said. "Photos, remarks, a slow reveal. We want envy, not outrage." The tailor circled with pins. Denzel's gaze found mine in the mirror. Our faces overlapped like 2 drafts of the same confession. "Any questions?" Sloan asked. 1,000. I swallowed the obvious ones and picked the truest. "What do you need me to be when no one's watching?" Sloan glanced at Denzel. He didn't answer right away. "Honest," he said finally, "and unafraid to correct me when I'm wearing armor that looks like skin." The phone in my pocket buzzed. I expected my landlord's reminder, my mother's prayer. Instead, a number I didn't know. "Don't hold his hand. If you do, he won't let go." I felt the words lodge like glass. I looked up. Denzel's reflection met mine. Unreadable, almost tender around the edges. "Problem?" he asked softly. I shook my head because the truth wasn't ready. The tailor's fingers guided me into midnight wool. Denzel chose a tie the color of doubt and steadied it beneath my throat. His hands were careful, the way you touch something you're afraid to break and desperate to keep. We rehearsed. How we met, how he drinks his espresso with lemon peel, the nickname he couldn't stop using for me, Avery, like a challenge. I learned his tells, the micro tilt when he lies, the pause after good news, the way he breathes before giving something away and never getting it back. In the elevator down, Sloan briefed from a tablet. "Board members present, shareholders hovering, press hungry, Eli Mercer will attend. He's angling for the chair if Denzel looks distracted." Denzel's jaw tightened like a door being barred. "Eli likes the word liability," Denzel said. "Consider yourself my favorite argument against it." The car stopped. Outside, flashbulbs stitched daylight from darkness. I remembered the text and offered him my hand. He took it like promise and risk. 1 squeeze. I see you. The doors opened, and our story stepped forward. Flashbulbs stitched us together, but every light felt like a question with teeth. I tasted my lie and his relief in the same breath. Across the ballroom, Eli waited, smiling like a lock. My phone buzzed again. "If he says your name twice, run." Someone else didn't. "Last year, Brooklyn Flash." a question. My hand in his. Warm, steady, a quiet thesis under chaos. We slid through cameras the way otters cut a river, sleek and smiling, half wild. "Mr. Kincaid, who is he?" "Will," Denzel said, and the name wore a small crown when he gave it a stage. We met at a gallery. I told a microphone held like an offering. He was arguing with a Warhol. I told him frames can make lies look true. Laughter, a few sympathetic nods. Denzel's thumb drew a patient circle against my knuckle. One squeeze. "I see you." We moved as one. Inside, the Foundation's ballroom glowed gold and expectation. Chandeliers practiced their halo auditions over tables named for painters. Sloane intercepted us like a breeze that knew the door code. "You two are a rumor dressed to kill," she said, smoothing a lapel that didn't need it. "Eat something, radiate defiance." We did the tour. Donors, small talk, the kind of listening rich people mistake for love. Denzel's suit held its silence. His eyes did not. He introduced me not as an adornment, but as if I were an appointment he intended to keep. A kindness, a strategy. I took both gladly. Eli Mercer arrived with an entourage that smelled like musk, and exit strategies. He was the kind of handsome that knew its angles too well. "Denzel," he said, smiling with every tooth but the honest ones. "And this must be—" His gaze slid to me, appraising, amused. "The gallery critic." "Frames are useful," I said. "They remind you where you end." Eli laughed. The room noticed. "Careful," he murmured to Denzel. "He's smart. Smart is expensive when it remembers." Denzel's hand tightened. 2 quick pulses. "Stop." I smiled instead of finishing the sentence I wanted to carve with. When Eli drifted away, Sloane leaned in. "He's moving the vote," she whispered, eyes on a distant bouquet. "Tuesday morning. He thinks the optics tonight make you look distracted." Denzel exhaled through his nose, a door releasing pressure. "Let him think. I'll be conspicuously undistracted." His glance found me. "Dance?" The band knew what to do. We stepped into a spotlight that took its time. Denzel's hand settled at my back, heat through wool. "You okay?" he asked, voice low enough it felt like a place to rest. "Define okay," I said. He smiled. "Not lying to yourself, or to me, yet." "Someone texted me," I said, watching our reflection skim marble. "Said not to hold your hand, that if you say my name twice, I should run." His cheek twitched. Fear? Anger? Grief? "People are bored," he said too evenly. Then softer. "I don't say names carelessly." He spun us, hiding the wince. "Why this foundation?" I asked, because the music asked for something tender. He looked up at the banner, Kincaid Foundation for Youth Resilience. "Because sometimes a boy survives and no one teaches him how," he said. Each word was iron reshaped into a bridge. The scar on his wrist seemed brighter. We cut through applause as a board member thanked Mr. Kincaid and his companion. My phone buzzed again. Balcony, 5 minutes, alone. I shouldn't have gone, but curiosity had built me from the inside. Obedience had never paid my rent. "I need air," I told Denzel. One squeeze. He saw me. On the balcony, the city glittered like it had swallowed its own stars. Voices to the left, low and careful. I edged toward an urn big enough to hide behind. 2 men in tuxedos spoke like bankers practicing mercy. Mercer says by Tuesday we leaked the Nassau bid. Kincaid folds. Board will love him looking in love while the ship takes on water, the other said. Smile while we siphon. Ice threaded my spine. One of them dropped a folded program. I waited, then snagged it. Inside, a column of numbers and scribbled, Nassau, 2's 8 a.m., press embargo. A footstep behind me. A shadow. I turned, fists full of bravado, and met Sloane's storm blue gaze. "You're not the only one who reads rooms," she said, taking the program like a magician palming a card. "Good work." Her eyes softened. "Be careful, Will. People who stand close to Denzel catch shrapnel." Back inside, the band swung brighter. Denzel found me, eyes a question. I showed him nothing but steadiness and the curve of a smile. Eli hovered like a storm that wanted credit for rain. "You vanished," Denzel said, and for the first time tonight he felt humanly off balance. "Will," he added. Just once. But my phone buzzed a third time as if correcting the math. "Ready to run?" it read. "He'll say it again when the lights dim." And he did later in the shadowed wing as we waited for his speech. "Will," he whispered. A pause. "Will." Somewhere a match found a fuse. I'd been warned. If he said my name twice, run. Denzel breathed it like a prayer and a siren. "Will, Will." As the lights thinned to black around the stage, the exit sign burned sacrament red. I could leave. Instead, I stepped closer to the fire and offered him both hands anyway. Backstage, smelled like dust and power. Denzel's mouth found my ear. "Will." A beat. "Will." Somewhere, a cue light went from green to nothing. Stagehands whispered apologies into headsets. The teleprompter restarted, then stuttered into a stranger's script. I thought of the text, of the exit sign's red sermon, and chose against leaving. "I'm here," I said, barely moving my lips. He touched my wrist, pulse against pulse, a silent metronome. One squeeze. "I see you." The second never came. He squared his shoulders, nodded to the MC, and walked into the light with me tucked. At the edge of it. At the podium, the prompter bled letters like a wounded animal. Nassau, divest, distraction. Someone had rewritten philanthropy into failure. Denzel didn't blink. He glanced toward me, a question dressed as calm. Then, under the applause's diminishing veil, he breathed, "Green light." It wasn't a command. It was trust, poured into one word. I stepped into the spill of light, took the second microphone the MC magically produced, and smiled like I'd been born here. "Good evening," I said. "I'm Will." I met Denzel arguing with a Warhol about frames. Frames can make anything look finished, but it's the lines, the messy, living lines, that hold. A ripple moved through the room. Resilience isn't pretending the picture is perfect. It's teaching kids to draw anyway, to redraw, to survive the edits. I looked at Denzel, let the truth be flattering. This man invests in drafts, in people mid-sentence. Rumors happen. Tonight we're asking you to invest in the lines that don't give up. The band leader nodded. Cameras leaned in. The prompter, offended, went dark. Denzel took the mic, his gaze landing on me like a lighthouse chooses a ship. He didn't read, he spoke. "Resilience saved me. It's why this foundation exists." The house lights flickered once, twice, like nerves. He reached for me, public rule invoked, and our hands found each other without asking. Heat. Anchor. The scar on his wrist brushed my skin. It felt like a sentence, unfinished. "Brooklyn," he said softly, not to the room, but to me. "Taught me to change the plan and still keep faith." Then louder. "We fund counselors in middle schools. We fund hotlines at midnight. We fund the stubborn art of staying." The flicker settled. Applause rose like tide. Some storms just watch you pass. Backstage again, the applause became weather. We'd already survived. Denzel didn't let go until the curtain hit us. "You said my name twice," I murmured. His jaw worked, unarmoring. "When there's a threat, I say it to make sure you're with me," he said. "Last year on a Brooklyn rooftop, someone threw a glass. My date froze. I said his name twice so he'd move. He didn't. I caught it instead. He glanced, at the scar like it had been waiting to be introduced. The text said to run, I admitted. Said someone else didn't in Brooklyn. Pain drifted through his eyes, private and tidal. They're trying to weaponize our caution, he said. I won't order you to run. I'll ask you to trust your feet, and me. Sloan appeared, contained. Prompter hack traced to Mercer's. Media guy, she said. Security has footage. Donations spiked during your speech. Optics, favorable. She flicked her gaze between us, softened. Take 5. When we were alone, Denzel's hand hovered. May I? He asked. Consent gentled the air. I nodded. The kiss was brief, the shape of a promise we hadn't read yet. My phone vibrated, against my ribs. New message, nice save. Next time, don't let him bleed for you again. I kissed him under a curtain of applause, and my phone vibrated like it had opinions. Nice save, the text said. Next time, don't let him bleed for you again. Love was auditioning. Loyalty, too. I had a key card, a contract, and a choice that wouldn't wait until morning either. Back in the green room, applause thinned into the kind of silence that remembers. Denzel's pupils were still lit like stage bulbs. He looked at my mouth, then my eyes, as if choosing which truth to trust. Come home, he said. Not an order, almost a question. Sloan hovered in the doorway, a secular guardian angel with a clipboard. Mercer is furious, she reported, which is the same thing as useful. I showed them the screen. Nice. Save. Next time, don't let him bleed for you again. Denzel didn't flinch. Sloan did. Barely. Whoever it is, Sloan said, they're inside the orbit. Keep the phone. Do not answer. In the car, the city unspooled its nervous jewelry along the river. We didn't speak until the driver's mirror gave us back to ourselves. Tonight wasn't acting for me, Denzel said. That complicates your job description. I watched our hands not touching, practice restraint. Maybe it simplifies it, I said. His penthouse wore its quiet-like armor. He loosened my tie with a care that felt like apology and possibility. May I? He asked, fingertips at my collar, and I nodded. Consent made the room breathe. The second kiss was new, not borrowed from strategy. We broke with matching startled laughs. We should sleep, he said, sounding unconvinced. My phone hummed on the counter, a wasp in a glass. A photo this time, the balcony, a sliver of my shoulder, Sloan's hand taking the program. Caption, you're in over your head, Avery. 1 a.m., where you met. Come alone. Bring the key card. Denzel read over my shoulder, heat rising off him like a weather system changing its mind. No, he said, it's bait. I wanted to agree. I also wanted answers. They know about the balcony, the program, our script, I said. If I don't go, they'll escalate. He closed his eyes, listening. To you or to me? He asked. Both, I said, because honesty had been requested. He paced 2 measured steps, the city catching on his cuffs. Then we plan, he said. You don't go alone. Sloan runs point, security shadows the block, we bring a decoy key card and a recorder. Sloan arrived in leggings and a deathly calm within 15 minutes, as if contingency were her cardio. We'll stage your entry, she said, handing me an earpiece and a gum-sized mic. If the contact is Mercer's, we catch a crime. If it's the ghost of Christmas boyfriend, we catch a motive. Denzel watched me pin the mic to my shirt like a second heart. You don't have to prove anything to me, he said. I hired you to read rooms, not to walk into traps. I touched his wrist, tracing the edge of the scar. We're not improvising this time, I said. The gallery where we met was a narrow rectangle washed white, its windows black with late. A Warhol print of a soup can stared into forever. Sloan's voice threaded my ear. 2 guards outside, 1 across the street. If anything smells wrong, say blueberry. I swallowed a laugh. Copy. Blueberry, I whispered. A figure stepped from the back room, hood shadowing a face I didn't know yet. Avery, he said, casual as a bruise. He set a manila envelope on a pedestal. Proof I'm not bluffing. Inside, printouts of emails, a mocked-up press release about Nassau, and photos, grainy, of Denzel on that rooftop. He lowered hood. Not Mercer. Luca, he said. Kincaid's socials, then Eli's. I texted because I couldn't watch him become clickbait again. But I want insurance. Bring the real key card, and you get the leak. The gallery smelled like wet paint and mistakes. I had a decoy key card, a wire taped to my ribs, and the stubborn belief that saving someone beats catching them. Luca's envelope waited between us like a knife and a lifeline. Blueberry sat on my tongue. Denzel's squeeze warmed my wrist. Insurance, Luca said, chin tipping at the card in my palm. He was younger than his voice, older than his shoes. Guilt had pressed fingerprints beneath his eyes. You give me access. I give you Nassau, with Mercer's fingerprints. We both get to keep breathing. You texted me, I said, keeping my voice low and ordinary. Brooklyn, my name twice. How did you know? A flicker. His gaze slid to the Warhol like it could take the confession. I ran socials for Kincaid before Mercer poached me, he said. Brooklyn was my event. Eli stirred a kid who came to scream. The glass flew. Denzel took it. The board said it was a learning opportunity. His mouth tightened. I learned who applauds blood. He nudged the envelope closer. When Mercer moved on you, I thought maybe if you ran, you'd stay whole. You didn't. You spoke. You turned the prompter into a spine. The words sounded like a reluctant apology. I thought of Denzel's scar, the way he said my name as both warning and tether. You don't want the key card, I said. You want out. You want protection that isn't a door that locks behind you. He flinched, which was an answer. My ear tickled. Sloane's voice. We can move on a deal. Keep him talking. I laid the decoy card on the pedestal as if it mattered less than the air. Here's what I offer, I said. You hand me what you have. You say into my very fashionable wire that Eli directed the hack and the leak. In return, we get you counsel, whistleblower status, and a way off Mercer's. Payroll that isn't an obituary. Luca's phone buzzed. His face went sallow. He's downstairs, he whispered. 15 minutes. He stared at the keycard like a life raft that also had teeth. How do I know you won't feed me to him to save your boyfriend? The word hung between us like a dare. I swallowed the reflex to smile. Because he asked me for honesty. Not obedience, I said. Because he funds helplines at midnight. Because he caught a glass instead of letting someone else bleed. And because Sloane will sign the engagement letter now. The door clicked once, soft as a mirror blinking. Sloane stepped out of the dark like a storm that knew which tree to spare, a folder in her hand. You're not the only one who plans, she said to Luca. Legal is on speaker. You say the truth. We keep you breathing. She set the decoy card aside with 2 fingers, disdain neat as origami. Luca looked between us, calculation losing to relief in painful inches. He opened the envelope. Emails slid free, timestamps neat, Mercer's media chief careless in his arrogance, the mocked-up press release, a wire transfer to a burner LLC. He called it curation, Luca said, voice breaking. He curated disasters. Say it, Sloane prompted gently. Luca did. The mic drank it greedily. When he finished, his shoulders dropped a century. I said nothing about blueberries. Outside, a car door slammed, a punctuation mark we didn't need. Security would handle punctuation. They took Luca to a safe hotel with a lawyer's card and a promise that was weighty because Sloan had stapled it to the world. I walked out, heart damp with adrenaline and something like hope. The night felt less armed. Tuesday came trimmed in glass and orchids. The boardroom liked its reflections. Eli arrived with a smile that had sold empires. Sloan distributed packets like communion. Denzel sat at the head, not armored, present. He found me with his eyes before anything else, one squeeze under the table. I see you. We played a recording. We showed a wire. Eli's mouth tried excuses, then strategy, then silence. You like the word liability, Denzel said, voice calm as winter. I like the word accountable. A vote. A resignation. Dressed as choice. Nassau postponed. Press embargo lifted. By us on our terms. After, the city shrugged into evening. Back at the penthouse, rain began a soft applause against the glass. Denzel stood at the window like a man who'd finally found a mirror that told the truth. The contract, he said, turning. We should talk about it. We can, I answered. Or we can admit it already did what contracts do. It got us to a door. Now we decide if we want the room. He stepped closer, leaving space until I said yes with a tilt of my chin. Terms, he murmured, smiling. Public. We hold hands. Private. We ask before we touch. 2 squeezes means stop. 1 means I see you. He paused. And green light? Means I trust you, I said. No emergencies required. He laughed, relief changing the weather. Avery, he said, tasting, the name like a habit he wanted to keep. Consent still gentled the air. The kiss wasn't a strategy or a decoy. It was a revision, lines over frames, truth over optics. Later, we rode the elevator in comfortable quiet. The orchid watched, severe and approving. My reflection looked less borrowed. In the car, Denzel slid his hand into mine. No cameras, no script. 1 squeeze. I squeezed back. Some stories don't end. They greenlight.